Welcome to the You Seem Great podcast. I'm Becca, a former therapist and matchmaker turned date coach.
And I'm Talia, a professional matchmaker and founder of a leading matchmaking company. Together, we have helped hundreds of singles find love. We're here to share our expert tips and tricks to help you find and keep love too. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the You Seem Great podcast. Today, we're covering roadblocks in dating, how to push through when it gets hard. Feel like this is for everyone.
Yes, I feel like it's so relevant.
It's a universal topic.
Yeah. Before we get there, I've been plunging into celebrity news lately just because why not?
Okay.
What celebrity couples are we loving and hating right now? I need
Oh,
to know your
my
hot takes.
I feel like all I do is read People magazine, but I can't think of one couple. Okay, let me think. Good and bad.
Well, you recently messaged me about George and Amal.
Well, they're like perfect, but they claim they never fight, which I feel like is actually a red flag.
100%.
So that's one. There's so many good ones, but now I can't
Taylor
think.
and Travis.
I'm going to not. I think they are meant to be. I think they're meant to be.
Interesting.
But I don't want to go too deep there. I do have thoughts on that. Who are you loving? What about Pedro and Jennifer Aniston? Do you think that's real?
No shot.
You
No way. There's no way that's real. Although, speaking of Pedro Pascal, do you watch Last of Us?
No.
Okay.
But I just heard something that his real name is like Peter Pasquarelli and he's from Orange County.
No, that also cannot be real. You need to check your news sources. He looks through and through like a Pedro Pascal.
So I agree, but the person who told me grew up with him and said, like, I had Peter Pasquarelli in my class.
Is this guy just trying to sell a story, thinking that you're still connected with E! Entertainment? What's going on?
I won't reveal my source.
Yeah.
But it felt legit.
That would be semi-heartbreaking.
Yeah, I have to think. I mean, I feel like Nicole Kidman and Keith Urban are always so solid.
Yeah, I feel like Justin and Hailey Bieber cannot catch a break, so I feel bad for them in that regard. Why do we still care?
Okay.
Let them be.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let them be.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm curious about Justin Timberlake and Jessica Biel. I feel like they've had a rocky few years.
Yes, I did go to a Justin Timberlake concert in Palm Springs a few months ago.
Oh, fun.
Lived out my wildest millennial fantasy, and all of NSYNC was there.
Wow.
They didn't perform, but they were in the audience. So I'm rooting for them because he throws a good show. And that's how easy it is to win me over. Yeah.
Also, years ago when I was living in LA, I sat next to Jessica Biel talking to a bunch of her friends about how they took a trip to Europe and he bought her all these emerald diamonds. And it seemed like they were genuinely in love.
I've been told that I sometimes resemble Jessica
Oh,
Biel.
yes. Now that you say that.
Really?
Yeah. She's lovely. She's lovely.
Yeah. Okay. Anyways,
Yeah.
roadblocks.
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 Okay. So these are themes that we see all the time in matchmaking and coaching as we're working with our clients. So hopefully they'll be helpful for you because likely you fit in one of these buckets. All right. So the first one is a setback. You want to find love. You're on the right track. You're doing all the right things. You're being proactive. You're showing up on dates. You're in a great mood. And then all of a sudden you have a setback. So that means perhaps you had a death in the family or you're now a caregiver to a parent. Maybe you had a health issue, you lost your job, something happened, boom, you're taken out of that mindset. What do you suggest? Like, do you suggest pushing through and continuing with dating because that's your goal or taking a beat during that time?
Okay, so I can speak to this from quite recent personal experience. I think for me, what worked and what I advise my clients to do is to take a quick moment to recalibrate. Like sometimes it's a month, sometimes it's a week. It depends on what the situation is. But when something comes and knocks you off course completely, you have to allow that reality to sink in because oftentimes it's like there's a process of accepting that this is your new reality, whether it's a loss of job, health condition, loss of family, whatever it is. So allow it to sink in. But when you start to consider how to move forward and live life again, make dating a very large part of that story if that was a goal for you beforehand. Don't say, I need to heal myself completely and then get back out there. So interestingly, I had a client who I've been working with for a long time who lost someone close to him a few weeks after I lost someone close to me. And this was a very important conversation that we
So these are themes that we see all the time in matchmaking and coaching as we're working with our clients. So hopefully they'll be helpful for you because likely you fit in one of these buckets. All right. So the first one is a setback. You want to find love, you're on the right track, you're doing all the right things, you're being proactive, you're showing up on dates, you're in a great mood, and then all of a sudden you have a setback. So that means perhaps you had a death in the family, or you're now a caregiver to a parent, or maybe you had a health issue, you lost your job, something happened, boom, you're taken out of that mindset. What do you suggest? Like, do you suggest pushing through and continuing with dating because that's your goal, or taking a beat during that time?
Okay, so I can speak to this from quite recent personal experience. I I think for me, what worked and what I advise my clients to do is to take a quick moment to recalibrate. Like sometimes it's a month, sometimes it's a week. It depends on what the situation is. But when something comes and knocks you off course completely, you have to allow that reality to sink in, because oftentimes it's like there's a process of accepting that this is your new reality, whether it's a loss of job, health condition, loss of family, whatever it is. So allow it to sink in. But when you start to consider how to move forward and live life again, make dating a very large part of that story if that was a goal for you beforehand. Don't say, I need to heal myself completely and then get back out there. So interestingly, I had a client who I've been working with for a long time who lost someone close to him a few weeks after I lost someone close to me. And this was a very important conversation that we were having because he has a very strong goal of finding his partner. So he did just that. He took 2 weeks off. He really took time to be with his family, be present, and then he started dating again. But what I say is when you get back out there, assess your bandwidth. So for him, he wasn't going full throttle right away. He started by going to the social engagements he was already familiar with and felt comfortable in. So he was a part of a few clubs. He started going back to those clubs slowly without the intention of meeting someone or hitting on someone or getting a number, just to integrate in those environments. Once you put your toe in a little bit, you'll be surprised how quickly you feel like you can get back to doing things like that. So I say go where with the bandwidth goes. If you feel like in person is going to be too challenging because whatever reason there's a health situation and you're readjusting to like your sense of feeling well, then do some online dating or chat with a matchmaker to even understand what that process would look like, because that might take a month before you start anyways.
100%. And you're outsourcing it to somebody else.
Exactly. Yeah. So understand what the thing about dating is that will deplete you the most and work around that. If it's forming the new connection, if it's having a large emotional investment, whatever version feels overwhelming to you, there's ways to lower the volume on that and to emphasize other things. Because again, dating is a skill. You have to keep that skill going. Yes. So even if you aren't dating in the way that you used to, you have to get back out there.
Completely agree. And it's helpful to, you can do this with a coach or a matchmaker, have an elevator pitch on what just happened so that you can address it and move forward with the date. Yeah. Otherwise, like you might be offloading. It might feel like a little bit of a therapy session. So just come equipped to the date with whatever you're going to say about what just happened.
Yeah. It's also okay to say, I don't fully feel ready to talk about it yet. It's something I'm actively working through, but I very much am looking forward to connecting with you in all the other ways, whatever it is. You don't have to share just because you think it's impacting how you might be coming off on the date. I think people get in their heads about that.
100%. You don't owe them anything.
Yeah.
It's just, so come up with whatever feels comfortable for you and then move on to another topic.
Last thing I'll say on that is I'm a big believer that a lot of dating happens when you're not actually going on dates. Like the skills that you need to be a good dater and to be open to people, that all happens outside of going on actual dates. When you go on the actual date, it's like you're taking the test, but life is like the classroom that prepares you for that. So whether it's the skill of engaging in conversation with someone you've never met before, whether it's working on your internal world and really reestablishing your sense of stability, like all of these things are steps in the way to getting to your person. So if you don't feel like going on an actual date, still be mindful of the things that you want to do to keep you in the mindset of where you'd want to be when you meet that person.
Yes, 100%. Agreed. You got to move forward with your goals. Okay. Another scenario. This happens a lot where nothing is clicking. So you're going on the dates, you're doing the work, you're showing up, but then you get on the dates and either you are interested and the other person's not interested in you or vice versa. Like nothing is clicking. So how do you keep showing up when you're not seeing the results?
This is one that I hear all the time. I think this is the biggest source of frustration and burnout in my clients. And I go back to square one. Like you might think, I've done it all. There's nothing left to try. It's hopeless, or I guess it's just a matter of timing. No, we've missed something along the way. There's always something within our control that we can shift to get you out of that place. So go back to the drawing board. Like, what are you actually needing out of dating right now? What is it that you actually want out of a partner? Are you meeting those types of people? And if not, we need to shift where you're meeting people or the way that you're vetting on the dating apps. Because sometimes it's like we have a type, air quotes.
Yes.
And we keep going after that type because that's what's exciting to us. But then it's that same dynamic. Like they don't reciprocate. But then we'll force ourselves to go out with someone that's not our type and they like us, but we don't like them. Okay, let's talk some attachment work, or let's talk about why your type is your type. Like, let's go a little deeper into that hole. I think it's going like right back to square one and redoing the whole way that you're dating, which sounds overwhelming, but it can be done in one coaching session. Honestly, it's like, wait a minute, let's pause and look at why you're dating the way you are, and then shift one tweak on that road. Changes the whole trajectory.
Yeah, that's so worth doing. Otherwise, you're spinning your wheels.
Yeah.
I will say also, like, if you are doing all the work and you're going on the dates and nothing's happening, you might feel like you're not seeing the results, but actually, like, progress sometimes is invisible. Like, you can't see it.
Yeah.
So just showing up, going on the dates, likely you're learning about yourself, what you're liking, what you're not liking. You're likely gaining confidence and just showing up and answering questions. So it's not time wasted. Like, you probably are making progress, but a huge, like, something that I think could be incredibly valuable is post-date feedback. So if you're working with a matchmaker, you're getting this. Basically, we set our clients up on a date, and then after we get feedback from both sides, so we can really see how our clients are coming across on a date and if anything's coming up. So for example, you might be going on a date and you think you're showing interest, but the other person has no idea you're interested. That's something that we can capture and help you with. So through matchmaking, you get that. It's incredibly valuable to understand how you're coming across. But even if you're not working with a matchmaker, you can ask for that post-date feedback. So if you're going on a date with somebody and they come back and say, I'm so sorry, there was not a romantic connection, thank you. You can send them a quick message or even call them if you're bold enough to say, hey, I really enjoyed meeting you. My goal is to find a relationship. I'd be so appreciative if you could give me some advice or some feedback about me or how I was on the date that could help me moving forward. And you might be surprised. They might give you some very valuable feedback. For example, they might say, I noticed that you talked a lot about your ex. I don't think you're over your ex yet. Or we had something come up in New York where the client had an offhand remark how much she loves New York and she would never want to move. Well, the other person wants to move to Jersey. And so he determined on the date it wasn't a fit. Later, when we addressed it, she's like, oh, I would move to Jersey for the right person. So we might be saying these little lines that we think are throwaways, but the other person's taking it really seriously. So that post-date feedback is incredibly valuable if you can capture it through a matchmaker or just asking on your own.
Yeah. Completely. And to go back to this point of progress isn't always visible, I see this all the time with my clients when they are in some kind of pattern of how their dating cycle goes. Like they'll make it to the third date, and then on the fourth date, someone texts and says, "This actually doesn't feel like a fit for me." Like I have a lot of clients who get stuck in like a particular date and it doesn't go further. For me, what I'm noticing in them as a version of growth is their response to it.
Yes.
So when I start working with them, it might be like, "It happened again. So and so is a coward. I can't believe this. What's wrong with me?" Like a lot of like, labeling narrative around it to try to define it and it's a strong emotional response. It doesn't feel good for them. Maybe after a couple coaching sessions, sure, the same pattern happens again, but they say, I realize that somebody who isn't willing to commit past the fourth date or doesn't want to give me a chance isn't really the person that's right for me. There's so much ownership in it. There's so much more neutrality. So I'll always say to them, like, that's huge growth.
Yes.
That's huge. And they never recognize it themselves until I say that. And then they say, I guess that's true. Like I feel a lot less bad about this, even though it's the same pattern. I feel a different attachment to it. That's the kind of growth that gets you to your person.
Yes.
So sometimes it's hard to see yourself, but even if you have a friend, ask them, like, do you see me handling situations different, even though I feel like I'm stuck on repeat constantly? Because that's, again, like that's one thing that's in your control.
Especially after first dates. If first dates don't go well, like often people are really down. And then over time, they're like, that's not my person.
Yeah.
And that's huge progress.
Yeah.
Okay. Such a great point. All right. Another thing we see a lot is when your picker is off.
I hate that saying so much.
I actually do too. I have like a visceral reaction.
Me too. I honestly can't even believe it came out of your mouth. I saw it written on the note and I was like, she's saying it. Okay. The picker is off.
The picker is off. It's gross.
Gross.
It's like along the lines of moist. It's a word that you shouldn't say.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So this means like you're great at getting into a relationship, but you keep picking the wrong people. So when that happens over and over, how do you get back out there when you can't trust your instincts?
Okay. So you have to reorient yourself to not thinking about the person you're dating, but rather the dynamic that you continue to choose. Because you're usually choosing the same dynamic over and over with a different person attached to it. So you have to start by identifying what that dynamic is. So if you are, I see this all the time with my female clients because we're lovely and we like to make people happy. If you are a people pleaser and you want to make sure that someone feels comfortable on a first date by talking about their topics and making sure they're having a good time and you don't think about if you're enjoying yourself, you might be attracting somebody who likes someone to take care of them.
Yes.
What that looks like 6 months in might be someone who expects a lot more out of you than what they're willing to give. So we need to think about dynamics that we continue to step into. It's like a puddle. Like we just keep stepping into that same puddle. And once we can identify that, we can show up differently on another date. But if you're finding that you feel like the person you meet is different every time, but then 6 months in, 3 months in, a year in, it's the same story, it's a dynamic issue, not a person issue. And we just need to, show up differently and step out of that. Because if you step out of it, then you can't remake that dynamic with somebody else because you're different.
Interesting. Where do you think those dynamics come from? Like, is that childhood? You're just going for what's familiar?
Yeah, not to be Freudian, but of course, it's like,
It's
like
childhood.
family of origin stuff. It could be what you could be based on fantasy, what you saw in movies and television that you think you want to recreate. It could be based on self-perception, what you think your worth is. So you show up as that version of worth, and then it leaves you feeling like you can't explore the other parts. And I think that happens a lot for us as women. Like we feel value in being caretakers because we have this maternal instinct that is incredible. But if that's the only version of ourselves we feel good in, then we will feel limited in that.
Right.
And then when it comes time to feel empowered, suddenly there's no space for that. Or for men, sometimes there's the narrative that all they are is the provider.
Yes.
And then when they have a feeling or they're struggling or they're going through a hard time and want their partner, they don't feel like there's room for them in that dynamic because they place so much of their value on their ability to provide. That dynamic breaks my heart for both parties involved. But I think that's what it is. We like create these boxes of why we are valuable to someone. And then once we feel like they're hooked on that, it's terrifying at the thought of evolving past that.
The clients keep repeating the same pattern over and over on their own, and they just can't trust themselves. They're like, I can no longer do this on my own. I need somebody else to do it for me. Like they throw their hands up, and
Yeah.
which is smart to have a third party that's an expert do all of this for you, because you will end up in a better dynamic.
Yeah.
Without help, like coaching, therapy, matchmaking, it's so hard to get out of this cycle.
For sure. Because sometimes it just happens faster than what you can be aware of. So the first step is gaining insight into it. And then the second step is learning how to communicate about it. If you feel suddenly like something is going in a direction that is familiar to you from your past, but you're not wanting for your future, how do you put words to that? How do you have a conversation around that? So first you have to understand what it is. Then you have to learn to communicate about it. Then you have to have the courage to actually be able to communicate about it. And then you have to assess if their response is something that feels like it could shift the course, or if it's going to keep you stuck in that same pattern.
Yeah, so good.
I did have a unique method of getting over this in my 20s, though.
Oh, you did?
This is embarrassing, so I wasn't sure if I was going to share it. But when I was in my 20s, not a vision of health, I had my own attachment issues and whatever, was on my own dating journey. I would go through like physical types that I was really attracted to. And there would typically be like one guy that I would be dating that I was more interested in than he was in me. And to get myself over that, I would date guys who looked like that guy, like a dating doppelganger. And I wouldn't be as into those guys, and they would kind of give me the ick. And then I would like close the chapter on that type of guy.
Okay, so who's like a celebrity that would represent this guy?
Oh my gosh. There's like a couple variations. There's like one blonde person I dated. That was the only blonde person I've ever dated. And then I had to like go through that version. There was like one guy from like the Israeli army who was like on the shorter side, but like had that Israeli like grit to him. And then I had to like get through some variations and get that out of my palette, wipe myself clean of that. And then my husband stuck, and he's my forever type. And he's more of the like, you know, dark hair, olive skin, could look rough, but also well manicured. Perfect type.
Mark Ruffalo.
Yeah,
in
exactly.
the flesh.
Yeah. But if you're really struggling with how to break out of your type, just find someone who looks like that person who you don't like. Live that out through.
Yes. And then you're good.
Yeah. Then you're done. Game over.
Report back. Let us know how that works for you.
We might need to cut that out. That's so embarrassing.
No, I love everything about it. We're keeping it. Okay. Next one. You're fragile. So you've been hurt too many times. I just spoke with a woman the other day where this came up. She was in a long marriage. She poured her everything into this marriage, and he cheated on her. Then she started dating somebody again, and he broke her heart into a million pieces. So she came to me like wanting love. She deserves love, but she's so vulnerable and nervous to try again that she like, can't bring herself to do it. So how do you coach your clients through this when they've been hurt so many times, like putting themselves back out there?
This is a tough one, especially when it's two massive blows like that. I actually often find, I don't know if you've noticed this pattern, but the first person someone dates post-divorce can sometimes be more painful of an ending than the divorce itself.
Interesting.
I don't know.
Why do you think that is?
I don't know if it's because you get out of this divorce that was so hard to get through, and you feel this like glimmer of hope. And then if that dies, it's like, oh, now what?
Yes, you're like to the reality that it's rough out there.
Yeah. Or I don't know if it's a matter of like you're reprocessing the divorce and this at the same time.
Interesting.
And they're both hitting. Because after a divorce, there could be a bit of like a whimsical era of like, I'm free now. I can.
Yeah, we call it internally carpe diem divorcee.
Yes.
It's
yes.
like,
exactly.
go big or go home.
Yeah.
Post-divorce.
And so for that like fantasy to be knocked off, it's like you enter reality. So I think that could be a hard hit sometimes.
Yeah.
But I've noticed that, and I've have some working theories on that. But anyways, all that to say, if you are feeling really hurt, the first thing is processing through that pain, obviously, like in your own, and starting to feel some sense of like resilience, independence, whatever sparks joy. You have to do that internal work for a little bit first, not all the way healed, but you have to feel stable.
Mm-hmm.
And then the truth of dating, and this is what I tell all my clients, which I think sometimes like it feels like a gut punch, is you just plan that anyone that you feel connected to at some point is going to disappoint you. If you can accept that truth, it feels so much more manageable. You can be prepared for that.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can assess at what level of disappointment am I willing to accept in my life. Dating is a human to human experience.
Right.
We will hurt our partners. We will fail them. We will do something that disappoints them.
Mm-hmm.
It's not the end of the world all the time. There's levels of betrayal, the levels of hurt, but you have to accept that with love and connection comes the risk of pain. And so if you're wanting that relationship, we have to accept that reality. And we have to feel resilient enough to go through that. Because otherwise, then you're expecting that person to be perfect for you. And then you're not creating that true sense of connection.
Mm-hmm.
So once we can accept that, or at least understand that that's an inevitable truth of dating and relationships, then you choose the pace that you feel comfortable reconnecting with somebody.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you need to go a lot slower this time. Maybe you need to keep some level of independence that historically you've been more willing to give up for a longer period of time. You decide what allows you to maintain your sense of self while connecting with someone enough for it to feel safe. And then you have to communicate that to that person. You have to be very transparent about that. And it might be that someone's in a different life stage and wants to move faster, and that's okay. But maybe you can't risk your sense of safety for that person at that time, and that's not your person. So I think you can choose how quickly or how slowly you connect with someone. And then you create the partnership in collaborating on what that looks like in that relationship. And if someone is in alignment with that or not. And then it feels like more of a collaboration where you have choice and you're not just like free falling, hoping the other person will catch you.
Mm-hmm.
I think when people enter, that's like the curse of following the spark and following the chemistry is you are like free diving and you have no idea if this person's capable of catching you, versus like scaffolding. Let's build this together. Let's create a sense of safety, even though there's inevitable risk. Like choose a different way to build a relationship.
Makes sense. More cautious, not all in head first.
Yeah. Yeah. And just through open dialogue, continue to talk about it.
So I saw this clip on Instagram the other day. It was Tracy Ellis Ross.
Oh,
you know her?
yeah.
She's so great.
Yes.
She was talking about how she has everything in life, amazing career, amazing family, but she never found a partner and she didn't have children of her own, and how she was grieving that timeline. Like she really thought by now she would have all of those things. So this definitely pops up often for both men and women that I see in matchmaking. How do you help your clients grieve that timeline?
Well, I think you nailed it with the word grief. There's an element of grief to it. You have to let that go to allow a new timeline to come in. And part of grieving that is understanding the origin of where that timeline came in. Was it self-imposed? Was it societal? Was it familial? Was it what your friends are doing and you feel left behind from your friend group? You really have to think about, why was this timeline so important in my life? And what is the thing that I feel like I won't get because I didn't meet this timeline? Then you can start to, again, like I talked about in the intro episode, once you drop a bomb on something and it shatters, you can rebuild it. So you can rebuild your timeline with a new sense of what you want to feel in life and how you create that. Just like I spoke about, like I'm actually talking to a handful of clients right now who are exploring if traditional relationships and marriage are what they actually want out of life, that they've pursued that for so long because of they should, but that's actually not what they want.
Yes.
And there's a freedom in that you get to choose how you get this thing that you want to feel. So I think a lot of people who want relationships and family want to feel that sense of connection, that sense of closeness, but that can come in so many different ways. So once you can reestablish like what is actually really important for me to have is that I want to be surrounded in old age by people. Is it that I want to feel what it's like to carry a child, or I want to feel what it's like for a part of me to be in a child? What is the need? And then what are your options of how to get there? And reorient your timeline.
Yeah.
But there is a grieving process to it. Like if you are holding on for dear life,
Yeah.
you get more stuck than you think.
I know, it's so tough. I have a handful of clients, and the ones that are popping into my mind are men that they really wanted a family and they focused on their career. I know they're in their 50s and sometimes 60s, really holding on to having this family. But how can that look different now? Like maybe it's not a biological child, maybe it's a step kid, but they're so stuck in this one idea that I do think it's getting in their way.
Yeah. Yeah. It's hard. It's like, what is it about having that child that is really important to you?
Like,
And
is it legacy? Like what? Yeah, exactly. What is it about it?
yeah. And then how can you build that in a different way? Or at least open yourself up. It doesn't mean you have to close the door on your dreams.
Absolutely.
But open yourself up to other possibilities, because all that time that you're waiting, you're depriving yourself of possible connection, which is ultimately, I think, what everyone wants.
Right. Yeah, it's so hard. I think, there's social media, like there are all these things where you look at all these people and you think they have everything and you miss this one part of your life. But really, like, this might be cold, but I view people as like little pies. Like all of us have some slice where we've hit the jackpot.
Yeah.
And then we all have slices where we're struggling. Nobody's perfect. Nobody has the perfect pie. So if you are looking at other people and you're feeling down on yourself for this thing, just know they have other slices of their pie that they're really struggling too.
Yeah.
So
that's such a good way to put it. I always think that, like, stop comparing and despairing. The compare and despair game is so hard. And this is particularly hard for my clients, both male and female, who are in their late 30s, early 40s, who start to feel like everyone in their friend group has a family with kids and they're the only single person.
yeah.
And their weekends are filled with like kids' birthdays and couples events. And sometimes they're not even invited because they're single and it's like a couple's, vacation or whatever it might be. Okay, like that's hard. That's very hard to surround yourself with that. So allow yourself to say no to the birthday party or to branch out and see if there's a new group of friends that you resonate with more. Like my dream in life lately has been to like bring all my favorite single clients, which is all of you, but all my favorite single clients together in like a fun ass support group.
Yeah. I thought you were going to say like a pool party in Cabo.
I mean, yeah, like that's same thing. Like it doesn't have to be like a processing thing. Like, let's just be together and enjoy that there's so many people in our situation, but we start to feel so isolated sometimes if our friend group has moved to a different life stage than where we are.
Exactly.
That I feel like keeps people really stuck.
It does. But really, like you're probably living your best life and those parents are struggling at home.
Yes, we are.
Yes.
I see my sister-in-law all the time.
Trust me, you're not missing out. Like those birthday parties, you don't want to be there.
Yeah, it's true. Love my kids though. But yeah.
Yikes. I cannot go to another Sky Zone on the weekend.
Yeah. So. Lice, hand, foot, mouth. Think of all the illnesses you are just coasting by without even thinking about.
You go on that vacation.
Yeah.
Enjoy.
Please.
Yes, we should do that. That one big group.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Whoever's interested, DM me.
Yes.
We're making it happen.
100%. Okay. Anything else besides these main roadblocks that you think would be helpful for our listeners?
I think these are the main ones. Of course, there's always subcategories. There's always unique situations, but those are the moments when you call me or Talia.
Yes, please.
And you get some personalized, but those are like the overarching ones that I'm seeing pretty consistently.
Yeah. I know everyone has some roadblock in their dating game. And really, and I've seen this time and time again, like this is 100% true. The smallest tweak can make the biggest difference. So if you are struggling, again, call us. It's probably something so simple that you can change your dating game like overnight.
Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes it's just like the smallest mindset shift.
Yes.
So
exactly.
Yeah. We're here.
Yeah. We here. Call us. Okay, I'm gonna wrap it up on that.
Yeah. We've gone delusional.
So hopefully you did get some value out of that roadblock episode. Thank you for joining You Seem Great podcast. DM us, let us know how it's all going, and we will catch you next time.
Bye.
Thank you for joining today's episode of You Seem Great. You can find specifics of the episode in our show notes.
Want more? Follow us at You Seem Great podcast on social media.
Dating is hard. We're here to help.